In this section, we'll focus on Red Hat package management using RPM, the shell-based utility, which is responsible for installing, verifying, querying, upgrading, and uninstalling packages. Let's label this section RPM and describe briefly the features associated with this package manager. Provides package management, which includes but not limited to querying, which allows you to query your existing package database. And these are main functions, by the way. Installation, uninstallation, upgrade, as well as verification. These are the 5 major tasks you can perform with RPM. Again, to query the system means to consult the local RPM database to determine packages installed, as well as to query packages that have been downloaded locally or that are on DVD or CD-ROM or local media. Installation is just that. It allows you to install a package or more. Uninstallation removes packages. Upgrade upgrades existing packages. So if you have version 1 and you're upgrading to 1.5, 1.5 will supersede 1. And verify allows you to check packages as well as files on your system to determine if there has been any sort of compromise or if there are any discrepancies between the packages on your system and the original pristine sources provided by Red Hat or by a repository, an RPM repository. So RPM provides these sorts of features, and the main command is indeed RPM, lowercase of course. But depending on the mode that you intend to enter, you'll need to indicate whether or not you want to install, uninstall, upgrade, query, verify. We'll begin by querying, as it's easiest to determine what's on the system. So let's set up a query section. And a simple way to query the system is to execute RPM with the lowercase q option, which indicates query, followed by optional A, which will display all of the packages installed on the system. So dumps all installed packages from the RPM database. Again, RPM maintains a database on the system of installed packages. Also, we should note that most of the files on your Red Hat Enterprise system belong to a package. So you can query from those files using RPM query with the F option, query file, to determine package membership. So the files that you'll find, the overwhelming majority of them on your system, belong to a package, which keeps things organized and easy to trace. So let's execute this RPM query all. This is a quick way to determine what's installed on the system. We'll open a new shell. You don't need to be administrator or root to query the package database, but you do need to be root to install new packages, and we'll note that once we are in the installation section. So here you see a full enumeration of all the packages. It's still running. On a typical system, you'll find over 500, sometimes over 600 packages installed. To come up with a total count, use RPM query all and pipe the output to wc-l. So a variation on this command would be RPM query all piping the output into wc-l. This dumps all packages and provides a count. Let's try that again. And momentarily we'll get a count. Also notice that the count is returned much quicker because the output isn't rendered to the screen. So there are almost 930 packages installed. From A to Z, the packages are dumped to the screen, and they cover everything from the X Windows environment, which includes GNOME, Xorg, and other programs to handle mouse, keyboard, and other interactions, such as to interface with your joystick, your audio card, so on and so forth, to MinGetty, which provides shell access via the different consoles, the different TTYs, to all the programs that you use on your Red Hat Enterprise system. So this dumps and gives you a sense. You can pipe the output to sort so it's presented nicely, but we know that in this case there are over 920 packages installed. So query all gives you a sense. Now if you're searching for a specific package but you're unsure of the name, use RPM query all, pipe the output into grep, which is a line processor, because indeed each of the lines or each of the output that you see here are represented by lines. So we can grep each line one at a time, which is what grep will do. It takes as input one line to search for a match. So for example, let's search for the nano package. We'll RPM query all grep nano. Most packages are installed with the lowercase name, but if you're unclear or unsure, use the case-insensitive option of grep to search for the package. This will tell you if there are any instances of nano installed. Let's scroll down where this should be pasted. And there you see version 1.3 is installed with minor revisions made by Red Hat. So you can determine if a program is installed by searching for its package using grep to parse the output. Again, it's hard to determine based on the names and versions the exact name that you're to use, but usually the prefix such as nano will suffice. So if you RPM query and grep nano, it dumps it rather quickly. Or you could query info to determine whether or not. So for example, RPM query info nano will return information about the nano package. Let's just list that. So now that we know that nano is installed, RPM query info nano dumps info about the nano package. Whereas the previous example simply scoured the packages list to determine whether or not a package is installed. This is again similar to using, let's say, add remove programs in Windows and manually browsing the list to determine what's installed. So with query info, we see, for example, the name of the package, the version, the release. This is the Red Hat release of this major version 1.3 with minor release 12 by the vendor. Red Hat is the vendor, although Red Hat isn't the author. The date it was built, so this package has been around for a while. The install date. The group, each package belongs to a group. In this case, it's applications/editors. Its size, it's just over 1 megabyte. The type of license which governs the package. Its signature, which includes a key ID. Each package is signed by Red Hat and can be verified. And in fact, all of the packages included on the installation DVD or CD set are signed and are verified by default when you install them using the RPM program. It's another feature provided by RPM, where you may find out more information about the nano editor, a summary, and an optional description, which includes the fact that it's a small text editor. So another feature of RPM is the fact that it auto-verifies packages using GPG, MD5, SHA-1 sums. So this is taken care of for you. By default, packages released by Red Hat Inc. are signed with the appropriate GPG key, which we can use on our system to verify packages independently of the installation process. So we know how to query the entire system. We know how to get a count of the number of packages. We also know how to search for a package if we're unclear of the exact name. We know how to interrogate the package from the package database to see what it provides, its version, when it was built, so on and so forth. And we know how to get some basic information, but there's still more information that we can get about packages. Additionally, let's compare and contrast. This system, the CVT Serve 1, is running Red Hat Enterprise 5. But we've got a remote system which is running 5.1. So let's SSH to 168.75.199. And this system, if we cat etc Red Hat release, you see that it's running 5.1. So the version of Nano is likely to be slightly newer. We know that from the local system, the version is 1.3.12, release 1.1. So on the remote system, let's RPM query info nano as we're assuming that it's installed. And we see indeed it's 1.3.12, release 1.1, indicating that it's the same version of Nano, which with a build date of the 12th of July 2006. So although this is a slightly newer version of Red Hat Enterprise version 5, major version 5, the same version of Nano is used, which indicates that Nano had not changed between the two releases. Again, 5.1 includes some updates, some fixes, some tweaks, as you'd expect with a service pack release of any operating system. Super. So that's how you query a package. Now, how about querying files on the system? We've been working with Nano. How about querying to determine a file's package membership? So the fifth step, RPM query file, and we need to determine where Nano is located, which is why we'll use one of those trusty commands we studied, the which command, to determine where Nano is available, and it's in user bin. So an RPM query file, user bin, Nano, dumps package membership information for the Nano file. So in other words, this is a reverse lookup using the file to determine what package the file belongs to. Again, most if not all programs you'll find on your system, unless the program was introduced outside of the RPM framework, belong to some RPM. So let's go ahead and give this a query, and now we're able to tell that the user bin Nano the user bin Nano file belongs to Nano-1.3, so on and so forth. So this is a reverse way to look things up. Let's look something else up. Which grep, for example. RPM query file bin grep tells us that it belongs to this version of grep. How about the which command? Well, let's execute which, and it tells us it's an alias, but which is really located in user bin. So an RPM query file, user bin which, will tell us momentarily the membership, which belongs to a distinct package named which. So you can tell from the file itself the package membership, because when you execute query file, RPM simply looks up the matching file in its database and determines whether or not the file belongs to an item on file or a package that's on file. You may also query a package before you install it. We intend to install a few packages, but you can download the package and query it directly. For example, we do have a package repository available, a 5.1 package repository, but the 5.1 packages will install on 5.0 with no problem. Let's launch an instance of the browser and then connect to that repository and select a package that's currently not installed on either Linux CBT Serve 4 or 1. Either or will do. And we'll now navigate to 192.75.100 RH5 i386 server. This is where we can find the different packages, and once there we'll bookmark it so that we can reference it. It'll be placed in the main area, and the full list will be ready momentarily, at which point we'll scroll down and search for something that we believe is not installed on either system, and that's the DHCP package, not the client but the server. So here's the package. If you copy the URL using copy link location, it includes the full HTTP location to the package. We can then from the shell paste this information as follows: RPM query package info, the full URL. In this way we're able to tell information about the package prior to installation. So we RPM query package info as opposed to query info. Query info queries packages in the database. So it dumps information about the Nano package as it's recorded in the local RPM database. Wehowever, as a sixth option, RPM query package info followed by the URL that we've just pasted dumps info about the uninstalled DHCP